Hey y'all, Kayla here from Wild Camo, and welcome to video 2 of my 8-part public land whitetail hunting series. In this video, we are going over public land, wind, and thermals. We all know that public land is often crowded, so the wind is how you can beat people and deer. It's the one thing that gives you an edge over everybody else out there, and more importantly, over that buck's #1 weapon, his nose. If you like this type of content, make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel as I post new videos almost every day. Also, if you hunt public land, you need to check out my in-depth book and audiobook, The Public Land Whitetail, the complete field guide. This video just scratches the surface, and I dive into extreme detail in my book. Now let's get into it. Alright, so here's what we're going to break down today. First, we'll talk about the public land problem itself. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of wind versus thermals. After that, we'll see how the actual terrain changes everything. Then we'll lay out a playbook of tactics you can use, and we'll wrap it all up with a simple 48-hour wind plan for your next hunt. So let's start with the real challenge, right? The biggest problem on pressured ground isn't just finding a big buck, it's getting within range without him ever knowing you exist. And his greatest defense, by far, is that unbelievable nose. I mean, just look at this number. It's kind of hard to even wrap your head around. A white-tailed deer has nearly 300 million olfactory receptors in its nose. For comparison, a bloodhound, one of the best sniffers in the dog world, has about 220 million. And us? We've only got about 5 million. So yeah, their sense of smell is on a whole other planet. If you're downwind, it's game over before it even starts. So, to beat that nose, you've got to understand the two invisible forces carrying your scent around. You have the wind you feel in your face, the steady, prevailing wind, and then you have these vertical air currents called thermals. They're two different animals, and you gotta know how to play them both. Think of it like this, okay? The steady wind is like a big river of air moving horizontally. It's what your weather app is talking about. But thermals, they're like these secret, invisible currents that move up and down, and they're driven by temperature, not the weather system. And here's the kicker. They can completely cancel out or change what that main wind is doing. So what exactly is a thermal? Well, it's pretty simple, really. It's just a pocket of air that's either rising or falling. When the sun comes up and starts beating down on the ground, that air gets warm, and warm air rises. Then, when the sun goes down and the ground cools off, the air right above it gets cool and heavy, and it starts to sink. That's it. And this creates a cycle you can pretty much set your watch to. In the morning, as things warm up, your scent is going to get pulled uphill. By midday, things kind of even out, and that main prevailing wind is going to be the boss. But then, as the evening sets in and things get cool, those thermals reverse and your scent starts getting pulled straight downhill. Knowing this is a total game changer. But it's not always that simple, is it? There are always exceptions. A north-facing slope that's in the shade all morning. Those rising thermals are going to be super late to the party. A cold creek at the bottom of a draw can pull air down all day long. And you can literally be sitting where one side of a tree is in the sun with rising air and the other side is in the shade with falling air. It's these little details that'll get ya. And that leads us right into the next piece of the puzzle. The wind and thermals don't just move in a straight line. The land itself, the hills, the hollers, the ridges, they act like a map that dictates exactly where that air is going to go. Honestly, the best way to picture this in your head is to think of the air like it's water flowing in a creek. It speeds up in narrow spots, it slows down in wide pools, and when it hits a big rock or a log, it swirls and creates little eddies on the down current side. Your scent is just along for the ride in those invisible currents. Now, one of the absolute deadliest features you can find is what hunters call a thermal tunnel. This is where the wind coming over a ridgetop smacks right into the thermals rising up from the bottom. Right there, about a third of the way down the hill, it creates this tunnel of swirling air. A buck can walk that line and smell everything above him on the ridge and everything below him in the valley, all at the same time. They live and die by this during the rut. And every feature has its own personality, you know? On top of a ridge, the wind is usually pretty steady. But the lee side, the downwind side, that's where it swirls, and that's where a buck will hang out to feel safe. And those big bowls or heads of a valley, forget about it. The wind in there is a nightmare, just swirling all over the place, which is exactly why a big old buck loves to bed there. He can smell danger coming from any direction. Okay, that's a lot of the why. So let's switch gears and get into the how. Let's talk about your playbook, the actual stuff you can do in the woods to use this to your advantage. First things first, your weather app is a forecast, not a fact. You have to check the wind right where you are. Milkweed fluff is the best because you can watch those little floaters ride the currents for a long way. A powder bottle is great for a quick puff to see what's happening right now. And if you really want to geek out, bubbles are amazing for seeing how air wraps around a tree or a point. So if you forget everything else, just remember this one simple rule for thermals. Hunt high in the morning and hunt low in the evening. In the morning, you want to be above them, so your scent goes up and over their heads. In the evening, you want to be below them, so your scent gets pulled down and away into the bottom. It's that simple. And how high you get in the tree makes a big difference too. If you're on the ground, your scent is just going to pool up and swirl in every little dip and eddy. Get up 10 or 15 feet, and you're better off, but you're still in that zone where terrain can mess with you. But once you get up over 20 feet, now you've got a real good chance of getting your scent stream high enough to just blow right over a deer's back. Now, let's talk about the mistakes I see all the time. The biggest one is just trusting the app and not checking the wind for yourself, or forgetting that shade can make thermals do the exact opposite of what you expect. And oh my gosh, trying to hunt one of those swirly bowls without a perfect steady wind is just asking to get busted. And maybe the biggest one of all is not thinking about your entry and exit. Your hunt starts the minute you step out of the truck. All right, so how do we take all these little pieces and put them together into a real plan? Let's go through a simple framework you can use in the 2 days leading up to your hunt. It really comes down to 3 easy steps. First, when you're scouting, either on a map or with your boots on the ground, think about how the air is going to move through that terrain. Second, for any spot you want to hunt, don't just pick one tree. Pick 3. An A tree for a north wind, a B tree for a south wind, and a C tree for a west wind. Then, on hunt day, you just check the forecast and go to the tree that gives you the advantage. Simple as that. And just remember, y'all, this stuff takes time to learn. It's not something you're going to master in one season. As the old timers say, time is the main ingredient. You got to be out there, hunting the right way, playing the wind perfectly to give luck a chance to happen. The more you do it right, the luckier you'll get. So I'll leave you with this one question to chew on before your next hunt. Are you just out there hunting deer, or are you ready to start hunting the wind? Because I'm telling you, on public land, that's what separates the folks who get it done from the ones who just go for a walk in the woods. Thanks for watching, y'all. I really appreciate it. If this was helpful, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe for more. And for real, check out the book for way more detail on all these tactics. Good luck out there, and hunt smart.